Blah. And the 598 EP did very well for Metallica, and not just for Metallica, for Glenn Danzig, right? I mean, one of the most lucrative aspects of music is music publishing, and Glenn Danzig, has the publishing from those songs. At least he did at that time, and he did pretty well. For as good as Metallica did, Glenn Danzig did good as well. Metallica may have been the band to change the mainstream's minds about the so-called thrash metal movement, but they did it in the UK not through the third album, The Magnificent Master of Puppets, but the follow-up. And no, I do not mean And Justice for All. Master of Puppets made the top 50 in UK album charts and was a clear sign that Metallica was making progress. But to put it into context, Iron Maiden were going straight to number 3 with Somewhere in Time that same year. It was going to take more than just another record for Metallica to win over the unconverted. I think it was the 598 Garage Days Revisited EP that made the difference. The background to the record starts with Cliff Burton's tragic death. The grief-stricken band recruited Jason Newsted from Flotsam and Jetsam, a band that had not long received an unprecedented, not to mention unwarranted, 6 Ks out of 5 album review for Kerrang! Magazine. They needed a team bonding session, so famously went out and soundproofed Lars's garage, with the exception of Kirk, according to the sleeve notes, covered in old carpets and presumably old egg boxes. Everybody used egg boxes when soundproofing things. It's a well-known fact. The band rehearsed some old, what does that stand for? Some old tunes by Diamond Head and punk songs by the Misfits, among others, and quickly recorded the songs in the studio. Stripped out of the clever 80s production of Master of Puppets and playing other people's songs, the heavier riffs made the band more accessible to those who didn't get thrash. So this was kind of like the crossover. It's like, hey, we're thrash metal, but here are some things that we really love. Like, here's a bunch of punk stuff that we really love, and I know you're going to love it too. And since we have that in common, maybe you're going to enjoy our music. So kind of like something to bridge Metallica to a wider fan base that wasn't necessarily rooted in thrash or metal, right? So they're playing other people's songs. Heavier riffs made the band more accessible to those who didn't get thrash. The 598 EP was the moment that the pendulum swung in their favor, just a collection of old cover songs. The song that convinced both me and my friends in particular, let's just quickly say that this is written by, it doesn't tell you who it was written by. I don't know. It just says Metallica Crash Course in Brain Surgery. The song that convinced both me and my friends in particular was Crash Course in Brain Surgery. It swung, heavy monster riff, great rhythm, and quite funny in the middle. You couldn't help but smile at such a heavy groove. I played the EP to my skeptical friends, looking to convert them to this new music. It wasn't until they heard this song that I could see the penny drop, and it made sense. It may not be as well known as a track like Enter Sandman or One, but it was every bit as important in Metallica's story. Free Speech for the Dumb was almost as good. Less Metallica, more Neanderthalica. I like that. In a good way. Just 2 chords. Sometimes you don't need 3. A pounding drum sound. Just a huge song. We sat around with big grins on our faces. My friends had found a great new band. The EP also made the band more accessible. Were they mocking the great Iron Maiden at the end of Last Caress and Green Hell by playing out of tune Run to the Hills? But I think that's just what you do when you love something or when you want to, just add. It's an Easter egg. It's just an Easter egg. Why did they whoop and act daft during Crash Course in Brain Surgery? This is clearly written by someone who's British. Suddenly, these angry-looking thrash dudes appeared almost human. A 1987 Donington appearance supporting Bon Jovi, Yes, Really, then impressed many, including me, in the hearts and minds of the UK metalheads, had been won. Every new studio record Metallica released after that went top 10 in the UK. The 598 EP is a rare example of a right record, right place, right time. It was instrumental in Metallica's subsequent success. Why not remind yourself how good it is and play it right now? So it says how 598 made Metallica millions. And it's I guess the idea, the concept here that the writer is trying to get, and I'm sorry, the writer's name is not here. Otherwise I would tell them. This is from the everyrecordtellsastory.com. Is that, that this was a gateway for a lot of people who were not into Metallica's core sound, which is basically what I just said before. And that opened people up. It opened and gave Metallica goodwill to a more mainstream, or Metallica got more goodwill from a more mainstream audience, or a wider audience, I should say, which definitely contributed to their records going to going to number one. Dudley says, love your stuff, Jeff, especially Misfits. Always a great listen. I appreciate that, Dudley. Thank you.